So the whole point of this TED Talk is to redefine how we look at success and push us away from quantitative measures like grades and numerical averages. No, in fact, by the end of this talk, I will convince you that these grades and numerical averages is like telling someone to bake a cake at gunpoint without giving them a recipe. And this analogy works. It sounds crazy, but it works. Because we're so obsessed with trying to work toward a goal, we're entranced by it, that we rarely think about the process it takes to get us there. And that's why I've been so obsessed over the past 2 years on trying to critically examine what success is. What are we working towards? And can we change that definition to make something more beautiful? So, like any young, dedicated scholar of the 21st century, the first thing I did was Google it. And this is what I got from dictionary.com. Success is the attainment of one's goals, getting an honor and an award. That's a great definition. It's simple, to the point, and easily understood. But it's not specific. What are these goals that we're working towards? So the first thing I did was test this definition by sampling one of the most competitive and success-driven environments in the world, university. And this is what our brilliant Emory undergraduates said. Success is a 4.0, a six-figure job, fame, a top grad school, wealth, and awards. It's, pretty realistic definition. But when I took a step back, I realized something. They said, Philip, I need to get a 4.0. I need to get a six-figure job. And that need is illuminating. Because it doesn't express a desire. It expresses a duty and an obligation. So I asked them a clarifying question. What do you want to be successful in? And these were the top 6 answers I got. Music, art, literature, medicine, sports. But let me ask you a question. How many people do you think who wanted to do music, wanted to do art, were actually pursuing those passions? 0. They were doing pre-med, pre-law, pre-business, or engineering. So I sat down in my room for a while and really thought about it. What would society look like? Even more so than that, how will we think? How will we feel? How will we see the world? If society didn't push these external standards of success, like grades or numerical averages, but cultivated what we wanted to be successful in. And the more I thought about it, the more beautiful an image came into my mind, in the form of my own definition. Success is a process that helps us attain a dream, master a passion, and helps us learn unforgettable lessons. And this makes sense to me, because you have to know the how before you make the what. It's like baking that cake, right? You can't make someone bake a cake without a recipe. You can't make someone build a car without a blueprint. And even more so, if I told you that, hey, good friend, I dropped an object down this spooky hallway. I have no flashlight, no communication, and you hear a roar at the end of that space. And I say, go get it. You should look at me like this, hit me in the face and say, no, have a good day, I'm not going down the hallway. So why do we push people to goals they're even unsure of reaching without giving them the tools to achieve it? So what I've said so far are critiques and ideals to live up to, right? But do these produce any type of results? And my answer, they do. And those results, for lack of better terms, are kind of awesome. So I designed an experiment. I took 12 of my closest friends from the top universities across the country. MIT, Stanford, Georgetown, UVA, and etc. And I told them, we are all pre-professionals, pre-med, pre-law, pre-business. So before it's too late, I dare you to take classes that you want to take. And they're okay with that, sure. Why not? But then I said something different. I said, I dare you to go to your professors and say, don't give me a grade or numerical average. Give me corrections, grade my exams, but never ever tell me how I did grade-wise. And they looked at me, and I'm going to be honest, they said, screw you. Like, if you want to do academic suicide, do it on your own. Don't drag me down your sinking boat with you. But after, long story short, after much coercion, calling some favors, and my beautiful speaking skills, I convinced them. And once we made a commitment to this, we decided to Skype about it. And in these weekly Skype meetings, we just talked about the cool projects we were working on in the classes that we decided to take. And the most interesting one was my engineer friend at MIT. And he loved art. He was not good at it, but he loved it. And he decided to take a landscaping class. And I wish I could show you the picture that he drew, but it was really bad. It was like abstract art of abstract art. There were triangles, squares, and I think like a stick figure next to a bird, a sun, I didn't even know what it was. So I told him, don't design my buildings, first off. but over the semester, he still brought it up. He said, hey guys, this was the revisions I made based on your comments. And he looked at those criticisms not as an attack on his ability or character, but as a way to improve. And at the end of this collaborative learning experience, we, like bosses, found a 24.3 improvement in our academic scores. That's pretty cool. But what's the next step? Why did this happen? I'm sure not looking at grades has something to do with it, but I want to know why. So hopefully I can do this every semester for my entire academic life. And when we analyzed the data, we found two key changes in our perceptions. One, when we removed grades, we looked at failures as an opportunity to learn. So before we started this experiment, we wrote answers in our journals to about a dozen questions. One of them was, what is failure? What does failure mean to you as a student? And it was anything lower than an A. That's a high standard. That's pretty normative in our university culture. Midway through, we said, failure is giving up. Giving up on our promise, giving up on our dedication to see this through. At the very end, one of the probably the wisest person in the group, me, summed it up beautifully on how he felt by the end of the semester. There is no such thing as failures, only lessons. And this is a beautiful thing, because when you remove the academic fear of failing, you have the courage to follow through with what you love and learn. And I'll give you an example. I loved writing. That's the skill that I want to cultivate. So I went back to one of my writing professors and said, hey, what's up man? I told you not to give me my grade, but I want to know what I got on my first assignment. And this is exactly what I did. He said, Philip, you got a D. And my knees buckled and I face palmed. Because what do we know as students? If you get a D on your first assignment, you do what? Drop that class. Go to Opus, have a good day, I'll never see you in my life again. But that didn't happen with me, because I did not care about my grades. I looked at those red marks on my paper as not an attack on my ability, but as an opportunity to improve. My second paper turned to a B+, the 4 after that A's. And that initial D turned to an A by the end of that semester. The second key thing we realized, stress magically disappeared. So we took a survey, just like we did the journal entries, and it asked a lot of questions. One of them was, tests and evaluations are stressful. Rate on 1 to 10. 10 being the most true. And we got an average of 12. How does that happen? Well, you got funny friends, right? but yeah, they like to mess with you. But I mean, at midway through, they said we got a 7. So why did that happen? Because they saw these tests and evaluations as obstacles to overcome. We're not going to give up, like we said in the journal entries. At the very end, one of my theater major friends at Stanford, he crossed out the question and said, guys, relax, I'm amazing. Tests are my World Series. I don't get nervous, I get excited. And the average dropped down to a 4. So we see removing grades changed our perception in 2 ways. We saw failures as opportunities to improve, and we weren't stressed out. So why did these 2 changes happen? The answer we found was surprisingly simple. First, we changed the goal from getting a grade to mastery something that we love. And the difference is astronomical. Making the transition from saying, I need to do this paper to get an A, to I want to do this paper because I want to prove, makes you work harder. So for example, before this experiment, whenever I got a paper and got it back, I was like, yes, or dang it. But then whatever the result was, I clicked delete in my head, it was gone forever. But when I changed it to this way, I click enter and click on typing. That type of effort only comes when you change the goal to mastery over grades. Second, we changed the pressure. So instead of grades acting like a guillotine over our heads that could drop down at any moment, it became a rung on a ladder that propelled us higher. And the reason why this change occurred is because we had internal pressure to improve. And that internal pressure to improve and grow outweighed the pressure of getting good grades. So the most beautiful thing I found was that my experiment, no matter how creative I thought I was, it's not novel. Someone's done it before. And it was a Duke professor by the name of Kathy Davidson. So she was teaching a class on brain technology, and at the staff meeting, she said, "You guys, I have a radical idea. I'm not going to do grades this semester." And this is the response she got. Some booed, some face palmed, and some applauded. But she did it. And the only structure that she gave was that if you don't come to class, if you don't do your assignments, I will fail you with a smile. But if you come to class and do those assignments, grading is up to you. You determine the criteria. You determine your learning. And what do you think happened when you give students the complete ability to determine their academic fate? They all got A's, right? I mean, the whole class got A's. And this makes sense. If someone said, "Philip, give yourself a final grade," I would say A, because I'm amazing. But at the end of it, she was heavily criticized. Everyone gave themselves A's. What was the point? Students don't know academic rigor. Students are lazy. They don't give themselves A's and just move on. But she found something more interesting. She found that her students, on average, wrote 1,000 words more. There's 30% increase in office hours attendance. People did more work that was not required. They engaged in material more effectively. And when I analyzes these results and compares with mine, I realize something. My definition of success comes at the intersection of hard work and creativity, facilitated by the removal of quantified measures of success, like grades. For example, even if the result of my social experiment was failure, I would have learned more by failing that way than I would have succeeded the traditional way. Because I learned how I study, what motivates me, what captivates me and moves me. And there's those interpersonal questions that really helps us make that recipe toward baking that cake, toward our own individual success. So Phil, that's great. I hope I gave you 2 compelling examples on why my definition is right and dictionary.com sucks. But what is this process? And I did this in 4 steps. 1, you have an internalized awareness of what you want to do and what you want to be. 2nd, you remove those quantitative benchmarks, like grades and numerical averages. And this leads to a change in goals and a change in pressures, which prompts us to learn about ourselves. And that's how we make our recipe. So, let's take this first step together. Just take less than 30 seconds, I promise. So, everyone close your eyes for a moment. Please participate. Yeah, okay, A+ for participation. So, imagine a dream, any dream you've ever had, that you let go. And ask yourself, why did you let go of that dream at that moment? Why aren't you pursuing it now? And for those amazing people who are pursuing their dreams at this moment, explain yourselves, what about you let you do that and take that risk? Now imagine that dream as something valuable to you, a locket, a friend, a person, a memory, and hold it in your hand and just run. Run as fast as you can. Don't worry about where you're going, and just run. And when you got that image in your mind, open your eyes. And this is all I have to say to you. I dare you to do what I did. I dare you to find your passions and to have the courage to follow through with them. I dare you not to look at your grades for a semester. I dare you not to give grades for a semester. And I guarantee that you're going to stumble, you're going to fall, and you're going to be terrified. But at least, where you end up, at the very least, where you end up, will be more beautiful than where you are now. Thank you.
Questions for Philip?